Well, good morning. It is 11 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. You know what that means. It means it's 2 p.m. on the East Coast. And that means it's time for our webinar from Astute. And I am Eric Greenspan, and I could not be more excited to share with you a little something about an event called AccountEX. And for those of you that are familiar with SleeterCon, the Sleeter Conference, put on by Doug Sleeter and his group, which was acquired by Diversified Communications, it's now called AccountEX. It's the only event that allows everybody and anybody to be a part of it. It's not put on by a particular company. Sage Summit, XeroCon, QB Connect, Scaling New Heights. These are all a particular company promoting themselves and their partners. But at AccountEX, it's everybody in the soup. It's a very unique conference, and they have them all over the world, and we'll learn more about that in just a moment. It's coming up November 15th in fabulous Las Vegas. What the heck? I hope to see you there. I will be on stage doing my Ignite session for the public. I'm very excited to be there, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. Before we get started, our webinar primer, as you know, if you have questions and you only want me to see them or your panelists, use Q&A. And as your questions come to mind, please put them in the Q&A so you don't forget them. We will address them, either stop and address them if it makes sense, or we will address them at the end, but we won't miss you. If you want to just chat and have a little fun and you want everybody to see it, use the chat feature. And periodically, I'll ask you to raise your hand. Do not raise this hand, but do, however, raise the electronic hand at the bottom of the Zoom window. I'm Eric Greenspan. I am the CEO of Astute and 74 Systems. I passed that QuickBooks ProAdvisor online test because I thought that would be necessary to get closer to my customers. I'm also an Insightly hero, and I've got a very interesting resume. You can check it out at ericgreenspan.com. So I ask you at every one of our events, are you achieving all of your goals? You know, we wake up in the morning, and if we are inspired and we do great things, we go to bed feeling fulfilled and we sleep better. And at the end of the day, it's all about achievement and making money and living a happy life, because those things kind of play into it all. You know, we got kids in college and they cost a lot of money. Kids cost a lot of money no matter what. So if it's not for you or for your kids, do it for your mental stability and just good health and just, you know, that feeling of accomplishment. It's awesome. Go for your goals, set them and achieve them. Okay. And you know that thing, for those of you that are in the bookkeeping and the accounting industry or any service providers, having clients is one thing, but having good clients makes coming to work a whole lot better. Please work towards that goal as you grow your business. Pick and choose the best clients you can work with. And you know, as much as you might want to think that money can't buy happiness, it sure is happier with money normally. So look, it does buy food and it puts a roof over our head. And these are things that we need. So I do hope that you are making enough money so that you can enjoy life, because it certainly is precious. And like me, you know, are you having fun? Because I do what I love. Do you? It's so important for us to make sure that we spend our days doing things we love. Now, here's a guy who does what he loves. He started off in the catering business when he was a kid, right, with the family. RD Whitney is the VP. Is it global VP?
Group VP.
Group VP, right? I knew it was a G word, so group VP. RD, tell us what group VP means, and tell us what you do over at Diversified Communications.
Great. Well, Diversified is an events company, a global events company with 850 talented professionals around the world that do events all around the world. And it's truly diversified in the portfolio of events we do. My events in my group are professional business-related events and communities. I came to Diversified about 3.5 years ago when I was building up the Institute of Finance and Management, which is a business community for the corporate accounting side of things. And we built that up from some assets that used to be part of B&A and Bloomberg, and we grew it into what is now the largest community of accounts payable and accounts receivable professionals in America, and the largest certifying body in America, and the largest events in America, and that was acquired by Diversified, and they got me with it. And so that's what we do here in our group at Diversified.
All right, so now I have to ask you this question. And we're going to do some slides, and then I'm going to bring you on. I might ask you this question again, or dig a little, because you know, I mean, we all want to know. We're all part of this accounting community. We all know Doug Sleeter, SleeterCon. I mean, the guy is an icon in the industry. Were you involved in that acquisition? How much did you pay him? And no, I'm kidding. How much did Doug make is what we'd really like to know. Now, tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. You know, so we brought the Institute of Finance and Management in, and we grew that exponentially. The company gained a lot of confidence in my group, and they said, why don't you keep growing and find some other things out there? And one of our hypotheses was that when we looked at the accounting market, it did not look like the human resources or the legal or marketing or any other other business function that existed in business as far as the event industry goes. There was not a single that we could find event that was agnostic. And that's not typical in job professions. So in HR, you have HR tech. In legal, you have a huge show called Legal Tech. In marketing, you have a giant show called MarTech. And these are all around the world. And it's a place where people can come together, learn about all the changes that are happening, and make independent decisions based off of that. But not in accounting, because of the evolution of the various technologies that had happened up until the explosion of the cloud. So we said to Diversified, hey, we think there's an opportunity here. And they said, why don't you go out and look and see if you can find anything like that? And there's some regional things, but then we got introduced to Doug. And Doug and I hit it off right away. We were first talking about ways we could partner together, because we had this really great corporate accounting business, and we were trying to look to expand that as far as the technology side of that goes. And one thing led to another, and it just fit perfectly in that. I mean, ultimately, where we're headed with AccountEX is to bring in all constituents, but Doug's history and the way it had all developed, the one thing that he did that was really attractive to us was that when cloud accounting started coming around and things started opening up, and it wasn't just about a single platform, he was open to that, and he allowed new launches to come into a show, and those turned out to be very well funded in global launches coming out of all around the world. So his show was the only one where you would find a Sage, Xero, and Intuit together on the floor. And we just love that, and that fits our model in being the independent event. So that's how that came about, and it's been a great transition with Doug. He's been a gentleman and really fantastic leader as far as that goes, and we've been integrating it in and investing in it and growing it now with the rebranding of AccountEX.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Doug, if you're listening, I just want to tell you, I love the mustache right now. I won't bring that picture up again. I did that to you in our last webinar. Doug and I, we've loved and hated each other over the years, and now we're pals. And it was funny because, you know, when I bumped into him at Sage Summit, we kind of had a difference of opinion on something, and we just realized, you know, it's silly. Let's put it behind us and move forward. I really respect this guy because he's such a hard worker. He's got himself committed in so many different areas. And to see it come to fruition and have somebody acquire him that both puts money in his family's pocket and creates tremendous value for an organization like yours, those are the kind of win-wins and home runs that you truly respect and appreciate in the business world. So good for both of you. That's awesome.
And for the profession, you know, I mean, where would the profession be if there wasn't an independent environment for people to come develop, for people to come together? If it's in a biased environment, then you're not going to get that innovation. So I think it's truly a win all the way around. And yeah, it took a lot of courage to do what Doug did. He could have.
I absolutely believe. And here's your next slide, right? I mean, look at what you have built here with this. Now some of this is from SleeterCon, and some of this I'm sure you've added since. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, when you look at the marketplace, and what we really simply did here, and we started this back in January, is we tried to define the various pain points, if you will, in accounting technology, the different areas where solutions are providing solutions to the end users. And it's incredible when you start to pull this together. I think we have over 340 on this slide now. This a newer version's coming out. We think we'll probably have over 1,000 pretty soon. We are finding new technologies, new solutions, new partners every single day in this marketplace that just were not surfaced before, or it's just such an area of focus. I know even in sort of the investment circles and actually Deutsche Bank just did a coverage report on the top accounting technologies as far as from an investment standpoint goes, and we were talking with them about this explosion. It's really starting to get really noticed. There was sort of fintech, which created a lot of excitement, but accounting tech is really the plumbing of it all, right? It's really it's the part that's just happens every day, and if you can make an improvement in it, you can create billions of dollars of valuation.
I love it. You know, we need an education box here.
Right, absolutely.
It would be a good fit for us and some of the others, but I think there's a lot of our competitors and our co-opetors, as we did in our last webinar, that would be great in a box. You know what I really am focused on here is seeing this funding box. And I've applied, you know, I went through a challenge in my business 2012. It's no, you know, everybody knows that story. And I rebuilt my business, which is part of the story. I'm actually speaking at the 140 conference about how the rise and fall of a parent affects their children. I'm very excited about that. Jeff Holker has asked me to come back after being his co-host a couple years in a row back in 2010. And I look at these funding sources because I've applied to a lot of them, and working with Fundera, who's a partner of Astudemy's. It's interesting to see these types of folks there. And, you know, I work with a lot of startups who are looking to build their practices and their businesses, and they're not aware of some of this amazing funding. And this is the kind of thing that you can learn that you're not going to necessarily learn at a more particular software vertical focused conference. And I remember when I was at XeroCon, one of the things that really exploded there was their adoption of iOS and the Apple Pay infrastructure and Square and all these really cool, you know, the stuff that you can learn outside of the focus. And that's the beauty here is you're not coming, I'm going to say it because I always do, there's this coup in the industry. Sage and Xero and Intuit, they all have it. They charge you to come to their event. And while you're there, they're training you on how to sell their product better. And I love that because it's beneficial, mutually beneficial, and they provide tremendous value with all these great speakers and all kinds of resources. But I think what people often forget is, look, if you're going to go to one of these conferences, you're spending a lot of time away from your office, you're spending money on hotels and food, travel, and the event itself. You need to get the most out of it possible. In our How to Conference webinar, we talked about this. So let me ask you, RD, this is, you said 300 plus. There's a lot of people to meet on this page.
Right.
How do you do it all? And I mean, clearly you're not going to, but let's say you're a startup bookkeeping professional. Let's hone in.
Right.
What would you recommend they do with their day in terms of meeting the right people or learning stuff to help them take their startup to the next level?
Great. Let me just back up 1 second. I just want to address one thing on the particular software events. I think there's a great usefulness for all these types of events and for those types of communities. This, you know, we focus on what this event does is it brings that person coming for the education together with that solution. And when I think back to even sort of the early days of South by Southwest, it was it a music festival? Was it a gathering of investors, or was it a?
Well, wait. What's the answer to that question? I still don't know.
Right. So we definitely don't have the music side of things, but it's like around this particular area, it's a gathering of professionals where the common denominator is accounting technology. So you bring those people together in an independent, agnostic environment, it's going to be good for those involved. As far as like, where do you start? So this isn't the exhibit floor, this is the ecosystem that we've so far developed that we're going to continue to grow and develop. So the floor isn't quite this big, it's about 120.
But there's representatives from every one of these entities there in one way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. And I think the way you get started is, like, before January, nobody even had them into buckets like this. So like we're starting to try to put some clarity around all the change and innovation. Our second session of the on Tuesday late afternoon, it opens just before the exhibit hall opens, is actually a Gartner company called Capterra, and they're sort of a TripAdvisor to software programs, if you will. They have independent reviews and ratings on different software programs, and the chief analyst and editor there is going to be talking about how to create a software selection system. Because that's the point, right? It's not always that this is the right answer every time. It's for your client or your company or yourself that it depends. And the pieces and the puzzle pieces together depends. So that's going to be one of the very first sessions before the exhibit hall opens is a presentation on how to create a software solution.
So converting that into terms that this audience is used to hearing, you're basically saying, we're going to help you figure out which apps work best for you, because there's a lot of apps out there and companies out there that provide software. And a great example for all of you that know, what I talk about a lot, I've been a big fan of Schedule Once for a long time for doing the booking of appointments. And I still love them, but I switched recently to Acuity because they had a Zoom integration, and it literally took 30 minutes off of my day. And like you said, Capterra could take those two applications and compare and contrast. If you're a GoToMeeting user, stick with Schedule Once. It's got some great features. But if you love Zoom, Acuity jumped the gun on that. So this is the type of thing that you could learn by exposing yourself to these types of companies. And it's interesting, RD, offline, I'd love to talk to you about a series of other companies that don't necessarily fall directly under accounting, but absolutely unquestionably should be here, like the Insightly's and the Acuity's. Schedule Once is Zoom. I've got a call with the CEO of Zoom this week.
Great.
And I'll talk to him about it for sure.
Great.
I just think there's such an amazing company, because you understand that all of these bookkeeping professionals today are trying to figure out how to gain access to the cloud better, stronger, and either combine the hosting of their desktop application for their GL, whatever that product may be, and use the cloud directly and integrate all the other apps and never have to leave their desk and conquer the entire planet, rather than being limited to their town, so to speak.
Exactly. One of the best other opportunities can be, certainly there's 85 sessions, and it's all about this, all about accounting technology, all the changes that are happening, best practices sharing, and what have you. But one of the best opportunities, we're introducing this year new peer networks. And so we're going to bring people together around particular topic areas and facilitate, but step back and let people share what's worked and what hasn't worked. In a face-to-face environment, it's just so valuable. Those always come across in all of our communities as being very helpful and valuable. So, if
you ever need help on the CRM side of things for accounting practice, I am your guy, because that is my big focus. And we work on that so often because we really want to just take the pain out of running the day-to-day, and I know you have 17 hats in here. I see that, which is a great solution. And there's a lot of other great solutions that we need to look at so that we can really evaluate properly. This is such an awesome slide. It's a little overwhelming, but it's such an awesome slide. It really, truly proves what you're trying to do here. And while we want the big players to be there as well, obviously, because they are important to us, because that's how we make a living. I see Insightly in there. I mean, that's what I do all day long. And of course, QuickBooks and Sage and Xero and now Zoho coming on with a bang, right? And my buddies over at Wave. I mean, these are great companies, and everybody's learning so much and doing so much as a result of them. So this is cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. So answer that question. So what would you recommend for that startup company if they just, it's a little overwhelming when you look at this slide. How do you get them to focus on, and here, let's switch slides so that we don't scare them. And let's talk about the 7 tracks.
Right. No, absolutely. So that's one thing. We recognize that each of the constituents coming to an event like this, they have different needs, but the commonality is that exhibit floor. The technology itself is serving many of those constituents, be it a bookkeeper, be it a client-facing accounting at their own solo firm, or a small or medium-sized firm, or even a larger accounting firm, or the controller at a corporation. It's interesting, even this is first year we have a bookkeeping track dedicated to it, and we did it together in request of a lot of people. But we can see that a lot of people coming with bookkeeper titles, it's not what you think of when you think of bookkeeper. They could be what other people might call a CFO at a small to medium-sized enterprise. Their title stayed that. And then you might have a CFO or a controller that, it's very, very interesting. But what we do at AccountEX is we keep it separate by track. So you can go back and forth in between the tracks. You don't have to sign up for them. But all the various constituencies are addressed through these throughout the 3 days of education. So the best thing you can do is just come and learn and absorb, network, really good at, spend some time on the floor talking with the different solution providers, make them show you what it does, make them, and talk to them about success stories that others have had, and then you can follow up because that person's probably there.
Let me interject here. So this brings up a really interesting idea. So a lot of people have a problem, meaning they're not managing the workflow well, or they need some way to become more efficient on scheduling their resources, or they're spending too much time with inputting. There's a robotic inputting system I saw, and I've got to introduce you to this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's all these different things. There's people talking about outsourcing and what are you good at and what are you focusing on and so on and so forth. So what I recommend that people do here is that they set some goals, as we always talk about. What are your goals for the conference? Now, are they financial rewards immediately? Are you looking for customers? I mean, that's why I would go, because I'm not an accounting professional, so to speak. I serve accounting professionals. So if that's your goal, boom, I want to pick up as many names and add them to my list as possible. If you are an accounting professional and you want to solve your problem, let's call it onboarding new clients or finding new clients, find the tracks that focus on those things. But equally importantly, is find the companies that serve those industries and those needs on the expo floor and do exactly what RD just said, is literally make them show you. They want to show you. They're there to show you. And if they can't show you, maybe the wrong person was attending the event, but their design and their focus about this entire time they're spending and the dollars they're spending and the resources they're committing is to educate you on what they offer. So give them the chance to do that. Stop at their booths, become friends. I'm going to tell you something right now. If you open your mind and your willingness to engage with these people and not look at them as vendors trying to sell you something, rather as partners, you will grow your business so much better and faster than you could ever possibly if you create some sort of an adversarial type relationship. Do not think of them as vendors. And remember, as I always tell you, if it's a potential customer, a prospect, treat them like they're already a customer. It goes both ways. All right, so there's a lot to do. And on top of it, you had to throw this thing in Vegas, right?
Yep.
So how do you balance having a little Vegas fun with all of the stuff there? I mean, we really need to avoid going off and seeing Love, although I want to go see it. But if we're going to do it, grab a group of 10 people and do it that way.
Exactly. I mean, the experience is there's plenty of education to go home with your head on fire, for sure. And there's plenty of opportunity to network with people that could be lifelong connections in your network. But take advantage of meeting people and networking. One of the cool things we're doing this year, when we acquired SleeterCon, we also acquired the Sleeter Group, and at Sleeter.com. And people that are they get a discount, a substantial discount to the conference, but they also get access to this member party. And it's at Margaritaville this year, and it's going to be this cool sort of step outside gathering of people that have kind of raised their hand to want to come together and network like this. And in the past, the Sleeter group parties have always been just wonderful opportunities to get to know people. There's so many things like that going along around the event. Xero and Sage are doing some fantastic stuff, and all the different vendors are participating in events that help facilitate networking both during the conference, around the conference. But you do have to have some sense of balance because you're right in the heart of things here at the Mirage. And it's a great facility. It's actually one of the older properties on the Strip, but it's been completely redone. The conference space is some of the best on the entire Strip. And we've taken up almost the whole hotel. In fact, we sold our block, but we've just opened up more. So it's kind of cool to be right at the facility that the events have. You've
got to be in it. Don't stay somewhere else.
Right,
people, I'm going to tell you, every time I go to an event, I tell people you've got to be where the party is. And if you follow T-Sheets or you're partnered with T-Sheets, wherever their party is where you want to be, okay? Right. I commonly tweet their management that there's a tiger in my bathroom the next morning after a T-Sheets party. HubDoc throws an amazing party. Expensify throws an amazing party. I mean, you guys don't want to miss these parties because you're going to meet people and share experiences like you've never done before. And it's just so basically you can absorb all of the information, but you can also have fun, but find a way to have fun. And I think RD said Margaritaville only for Sleeter Group, but he did say Margaritaville. After a couple of margaritas, you might even see Jimmy Buffett there, okay? I would show up, you know, and talk to people outside. I've snuck into a party or two when I've been part of the gang. You may be a future Sleeter Group member, and I'm sure they'd love to have you. So that is really cool, RD. There's some really fun stuff going on. Vegas is what you make it. November's a great time to be there. It's cooled off. It's beautiful. Obviously, it's better to go outside at nighttime in Vegas, period. Is there anything else that's you'd like to share with folks that is critically important for them or to prepare?
I think the internationalness of the event, and when we bought SleeterCon, you know, we were going to keep it SleeterCon for a while, you know, until Diversified's a global company. We're in most major countries with events. And so our eye is always on sort of that idea of internationalizing if we can. But what happened was literally the day we bought the Sleeter Group, I was in Pleasanton, we put out the press release, and we got a call from the group that owns something called AccountEX, and they wanted to partner with us in the United States. They ran a very large accounting technology event in London that has 6,500 attendees and 200 exhibitors, and was a real global gathering point, and they wanted to partner with us, and that's what ended up happening. We ended up buying them, rebranding SleeterCon, and starting to build this global platform, which will be, you know, in the Asia region soon, and we're just really going to be expanding that. But the thinking behind that is, I think about back to the, you and I were kind of joking earlier before the call about the year we were born, but I'm sure you remember early on as the computer industry was developing, it was developing out of all different countries. And it was important to know what was happening in South Korea and Japan and certainly today in China. But all around the world, there's technology coming out. Look at Xero, came out of New Zealand. So that's one of the things we hope to develop here is an international platform. So when you come to AccountEX, you know, we have people traveling from all around the world to come here, to share their solution, to learn. And that's what happens at our London events as well. So I think that's an important aspect of this.
Change your tagline on this. It should say the leading independent and international expo, because it truly is. I mean, you really are the true melting pot of the industry. You know, you've got the big brands, you've got everybody else that's connected, lots of ancillary pieces. I mean, this is the tree of life in the movie Avatar, right? I mean, it's just what was her name? I forget. But that's what it is. You know, there's going to be so many different pieces and elements to spend your time learning and meeting. You just never know what might happen. And folks, remember, your conference time starts from the moment you get into that Uber to go to the airport or however you're doing it. You need to start networking from the moment you get to the airport to every single person on the plane that you have an opportunity to speak to. It's really about that and testing it. And you know what? It's a great place to test, because when you get off the plane, if you blew it, you're never going to see that person again, unless, of course, they're staying on your floor at the Mirage, but the chances are slim. So make sure you take advantage of every opportunity. So you've got a lot of partners in addition that now some of these people are expo partners. Some of these are just helping you promote the event or just, you know, have a real affinity for this. Tell us a little bit about them.
We have every major association and media partner you could imagine in the accounting space. This is really interesting because this is the first year I know if a lot of people you certainly know about AICPA and the CPA, but we're also joined here by IMA and the Certified Management Accountant, the CMA, which is a very well-established corporate accounting function. Is one of the interesting things is the disconnect between the technology in the corporate accounting world and the public accounting world, and the fact that public accounting and accountants and bookkeepers are the trusted advisor to corporation. This is a way to kind of loop that back. But so we've got representation from from NASBA. We've got representation from all the major publications and associations. NACHA, for example, is shown on the screen there. They're the ACH Association. Really great to come learn about kind of integrating that into your practice and helping your clients save a lot of money. But just every major group.
Is that what NACHA is?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to talk to them. I just got a big payment in this morning, and it cost me an arm and a leg.
Yep.
And it's a lot of my clients pay me big dollars each month on a subscription, and it would be great to have them all set up. I know how to do it, but it's not fluid. And that's the first booth I'm going to. Thank you.
Yeah, talk to Rob. He's sort of the global education guy, and they're all about letting people know about the advantages of that.
Well, let me give a quick lesson here, folks. So you use your resources to network. I'm going to do that right now. RD, would you please make an email introduction to Rob at this organization for me? I would greatly appreciate that. See how that's done? And RD's happy to do it because he knows he's going to bring two players together that are likely to do business together, if not one way or another, become friends or establish something that could lead to who knows what.
That's what we do at Diversified. We create and develop and grow professional communities. So.
Awesome, man, this is good stuff. So there's a number of partners like us that have their discount codes, but this is ours. If you're an Astudemy member, you can go and register and save $100. Do not pay $100 more than you need to, please. Go do this and be sure to register and register now. Commit to it. Get your hotel room. You said you sold your whole block at the Mirage, but you opened up more rooms.
Yep.
So unlike some of the other conferences out there that you can't find a hotel room anywhere near it, we still can because we chose a big venue that's always got rooms, and you didn't do it at the same time as CES like some other organizations would do, and you just can't get into anything.
And not only that, our room rate, $129. We really negotiate an amazing room rate. So, but you got to do it fast because Vegas does sell out in November, and we're going to get into mid-October, and that block's going to be gone.
Yeah, well, it's the beginning of conference season. I mean, this is it, and this is such an epic event. I went to Vegas as a vacation with my kids this year for the first time ever. We went out to Lake Las Vegas.
Oh, that's nice.
We found this great deal, and it was super fun. And we did go in a couple of times, took them to Circus, which I'll never do again.
Yeah.
And then we took them to the Mirage to see the tigers, and we did the Mandalay Bay for the shark reef and all that stuff. And I got to tell you something, the kids were oohing and aahing. The dolphins were cool, except it was way too hot out there. And it's just, there's so many fun things to do, and there's so much to just kind of let yourself go. There's something about the environment that just kind of lets your mind go free and take advantage of that time and just milk every moment of your visit and come back with a fresh new look, ideas popping, new relationships, problems solved. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But trust me when I tell you, you get out of an event like this what you put into it. So please prepare. RD, I'm going to, as a service to you, I'm going to do a free, we did it once before, How to Conference, but I'm going to do an Ignite session for anybody that wants to attend. How to prepare for AccountEX. And you can use it for any conference, but we'll be specific to this. And if you can pop in during it at some point, I'll let you know about it. But I'm going to do this for you guys because I want you to make sure you've got the time, that you've got your collateral, your swag, your collection systems. You all know what I say about business cards. I don't care how many you gave out. I care how many you've got. I want you calling them, emailing them. So I'm going to do that for you and for this organization. We'll do that very soon. It'll be a separate day because our webinars are sold out. Any last bits that you'd like to add? I think they've got the address here, AccountEX USA.
Yeah. All right. I know, Eric, you run a great community there. We'd love to see as many people come. Great opportunity. But also, we'd love feedback, from your community, because this doesn't belong to any one of us. So we try to keep this agnostic and independent and evolving and growing. So we'd like feedback. This is our first year with it as being AccountEX. We'd love feedback as developed. If somebody's, thinking, what, I could get up on stage and I could tell a really good, I could share a really good story with my peers. Raise your hand. This is a great opportunity. That's what this is all about. So
that is a really interesting thing, because that's what I put on Abo this morning. I said, show up to this, watch this, because I want you to be the next person on the stage. And a couple of my Ignite clients are now on your stage.
Right.
Right? Which is
that's right.
it's what I promise to do, is to create this kind of magic for people. And RD is amazing, and he's very selective, but he's chosen a couple of folks. Carrie Kahn's going to be running a peer group session, and Nellie Akalp is a expo provider at this point, but she'll probably going to see her on a future stage at this event, because we all love listening to Nellie, and she's so smart.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, man. So November is coming quickly.
Yep.
Go right now to AccountEX USA. Take that Astudemy discount code. Put it in there. RD, thank you so much for coming, and we really appreciate all.
Thank you for your support of this. I think it is very important and very helpful to all of us. So really do appreciate your support of this growing community, and it'll be really fascinating to watch how this develops and grows over the years.
Yep, here we were here on the first one. All right, real quick. So next up on our next webinar, RD, stick with me just a bit. We've got Corinne Woodman. Now, this is the winner of the U.S. Firm of the Future Intuit. She's a finalist for the worldwide competition, but she won the U.S. And she is going to be our guest, and she's going to help you, particularly if you're a client of mine through the Ignite program, how you can become next year's or the following Firm of the Future. This is something to aspire to, because, well, you just get a lot of publicity, and publicity generally leads to more clients. That's how life works. And if you're having trouble with gathering that whole idea in your mind, well, I will tell you this. So being the firm of the future requires confidence. And if you're not 100% confident about your business, about yourself, and this community does definitely have some challenges with this part of the psyche. So we developed this in response to your requests. This is Confidence Building Part 1, and it will be the following week. And then we've got Confidence Building Part 2 coming after that. Now, this is not intended to be a slide for promoting an event. This is an event that already went by, but I had a funny feeling, so I made it available to us. This was the event we did. I want you to watch this recorded webinar, How to Conference, and I'm going to do it live again and take questions, similar one, where you can get ready and maximize your time at these events. Remember, now is this pricing still correct?
Yep.
So that's what it is. So if you go and you click on one of these, and I'm guessing there's probably more. I took this a while ago. But there's the Astudemy one. You click buy and you put in Astudemy in the discount box, and off you go. All right. That concludes today's event. I hope to see you at AccountEX. I will be hanging out with my buddy RD Whitney, probably only for about 30 or 45 seconds, because he's going to be running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Yep. Or he'll be settled and saying, you know what, I did it all. I'm here to enjoy this thing. I have no control over what's going to happen. Now, whichever it is, I look forward to meeting him. Do try to find him. Come up and find him. Say, I saw your webinar from Astudemy. He will definitely be flattered. All right, folks, I'll see you on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Thanks so much.